Well, hello, my paranormal peeps, and welcome back to another Deep Woods Paranormal podcast. My name is Matt Harvey. I am the founder and lead investigator with Deep Woods Paranormal. And on this podcast, we're going to get back to ghost hunting. I have acquired quite a few clients recently, and they all have the same questions for me. Where did you get started? What caused you to get into the paranormal? What began your paranormal journey? What are the basics of ghost hunting? What are the essential gear that I would recommend for them to get? Their safety and their mindset, how should they go about it? And then common myths and versus reality. What's real, what's not in ghost hunting. So let's talk about these. So let me start at the beginning, because we have so many new subscribers to both our audio podcast and our video podcast and our YouTube channel and our Rumble channel. So thank you everybody who have been on there and liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel and liked our audio podcast. And if you're a new listener or new watcher, thank you so much. We appreciate you. So let me get into the basics of ghost hunting. What is ghost hunting, investigating versus thrill seeking, okay? So investigating means that you're actually going out and looking for evidence of the paranormal and trying to document your experiences and see if you can actually help somebody maybe, or try and find answers to what's going on. Maybe you're not there to help a client, but maybe you're there just to help an actual spirit or ghost or whatever you want to call them, entity. Maybe they have some unfinished business. Maybe they need to move on. Maybe there's something else going on. Maybe they need to leave they have a message for a loved one. Maybe they have something they need to do. Maybe they were murdered. Maybe they had a quick death and were not ready to leave. Maybe they just don't know that they've passed on. Right? So there's a lot of stuff that goes into what's actually investigating, and then there's thrill seeking. I mean, that's how Amanda and I started out. We were going out to see if we could experience something paranormal, right? Mainly ghosts. We would go to the Queen Mary. We'd go to, up to Hollywood Forever Cemetery. We would go to different places that were said to be haunted, hotels, especially on Halloween nights. We used to do Halloween specials all the time where we'd bring you guys along and share the possible evidence we found from our experiences. The Hotel del Coronado, the Whaley House, in different places around here too, in Texas. We've been to quite a few haunted locations out here. So when you go into any kind of a location, it's important to do research on a history's location, because if I come in cold, and I've talked about this many times, but if I come in cold, and let's just say I'm helping a client, and I don't know anything about this location. I don't know when the house was built, and if it's a house, or if it's a hotel, or if it's a business, or whatever. I don't know anything about what's happened in the past. I'm coming in cold. I always use this analogy. If I walked into your living room and you were sitting there, and you're looking, you and your family are sitting there, and you look up at me and you're like, who's this guy? What's he here for? Why is he asking me all these questions? What's your name? How long have you been here? Can you see me? Questions like that. They're going to be like, okay, who is this guy and what does he want? Why is he here? But if I come in and I say, hey, Charles, and I'm just making stuff up, bear with me here. I come in and say, hey, Charles, I know you died at this date, of a heart attack, and your family wasn't, it was unexpected, and your family still is mourning you, and they have some unanswered questions, and we want to see if we can get you some help, right? Help you move on to another, then whatever's next. And maybe get some resolution for you. You're going to probably respond more. Charles is going to probably respond more likely than if I'm just asking him, hey, what's your name? How long have you been here? and stuff like that. But if I have a history and I know what's happened, especially when you deal with the darker side of the paranormal, and I know what's going on, and I know, when the house is built, I know how many people have passed away in the house, if anybody has. I know what's happened with the land. Sometimes it's the land. Sometimes it's not even the house. Sometimes it's the land. A building gets torn down, an old building gets torn down, and something else gets put up on top of it. And then all of a sudden that new location has activity, right? A mental hospital could have been there before, or a hospital, or anything else could have been there. Maybe it was a business. Who knows? But everywhere, every piece of land has a little bit of history to it. It has some kind of something where somebody's passed away. So if you don't know your history, you're going to have a lot less likelihood of actually getting anything. And I always say, whenever you walk into a location, it doesn't matter what it is, and it could be for anything, hauntings, Bigfoot research, you're going for dogman or cryptids, or looking for UFOs or UAFs or whatever they call them now, or just looking for any kind of UFO in the sky where something's going to happen, where you're going to see something possibly that could be paranormal. If you don't do your research on any of these things, number one, you probably don't know where you're going to go if you're doing Bigfoot research or anything else besides ghost hunting. Number two, if you don't look up old reports and stuff like that, you're just going to be lost. You're just going to be kind of throwing just basically taking a dart and throwing it at a map. Oh, it landed there. That looks like a forest. Let's go look for that. Let's go look for something in there. Sometimes you get lucky with that. Sometimes you don't. You have, like I said, you have a 50-50 chance, but your odds go up if you have some kind of information about what's happened. And we've been through thousands of homes and businesses and stuff like that. Sometimes these locations also have old relics or antiques from other locations. I know one of the theaters we went into had a bunch of World War II stuff, and that was amazing. It was really cool to see all that stuff. But imagine the energy that comes with it. Unfortunately, somebody passed away using it, so their energy gets trapped there. So if you have the information on who used that gear, what their name was, what happened to them, you might get responses, right? Okay, so to get responses, everybody asks, oh, well, what's the best gear out there? How do you guys, do your research? What's the best gear for me to have? It all depends. I've been doing this for over 30 years. We've had countless DVR systems. We still do have a DVR system, but it's not nearly as complex as other ones. Like I said, I used to sit in front of a screen, this huge screen, and watch hours and hours of video. For every hour of video you shot on cameras, you had to watch all that. So now take a DVR system with 20 cameras or 10 cameras. Let's just say 10. It's a nice even number. And depending on the size of the location, and you've got cameras up everywhere, right? And even if somebody's sitting in front of it, they might miss something. So then you've got, let's say you do a 10-hour investigation. That's 100 hours of video to watch, because you got to watch each screen individually. That's a lot of work, and I've done it. And then audio recorders, Sony, and those other audio recorders are great. But what I find is, actually, believe it or not, if you have a good quality cell phone, like an Apple iPhone like I do, or any kind of iPhone, any kind of a phone that has a good receiver, audio recording is amazing off of it. Audio recording on my cell phone is actually probably better than most of the cell phones out there, because guess what? It's actually made to record, to hear your voice. And I've gotten multiple EVPs on my phone. Speaking of the phones, everybody asks, oh, well, what about the apps that they sell out there? Now, I don't want to bash apps, but I'm not a real big believer in the apps. Now, I do believe that spirits are just energy, right? They're just some kind of energy that's left over after we pass. Some people call it a spirit. Sometimes people call it a ghost. You can call it whatever you want. And I know there's skeptics listening, and you're just rolling your eyes and ghosts aren't real and whatever. That's fine. But just imagine it as an energy, right? So this energy field is left, and they can manipulate devices like this, right? So here's another device if you're looking for a cheap startup piece of gear. This is called a K2. As you see, I'm going to turn it back off, and I'm going to turn it back on. What it is it just picks up EMF in the air, which is just, basically electronic magnetic fields. And so the easy way to think of this is it's just, this was originally used to find dog wires under the ground. I mean, a lot of people listening probably don't even know what a dog wire is or what it was for. So essentially what you do is you take this thin wire and you would essentially put it underneath the ground. You dig a hole 6 inches deep or whatever, and it'd be like an invisible fence. And it had a current that went through it. And so you would put the collar around the dog and had a little shock collar for them. And the whole idea behind the collar was when they got close to the fence, this invisible fence buried under the ground, it would zap them, right? It would set off a little small shock, not to hurt the dog, but just basically to get the dog back away from that. It didn't work most of the time. I mean, we tried it way back in the day, and we immediately threw it away because it was just not good. We didn't have one of these back then. I don't think they came with these, but they did design these to actually start to find those wires under the ground after that, because I'm sure people threw the collars away and then forgot about the wire that was under the ground, so they used this to basically find the wires. And during the Sharon Tate murder investigation by a paranormal team, which I won't say the name because I don't want to have a copyright infringement, but a gentleman brought this in. I'm not going to name him either. Really nice guy, though. If you ever get a chance to meet him, he's an amazing guy, very psychic, very amazing to talk to. So anyways, he brought this into that investigation, and the whole theory behind it was, okay, you can see it has, I'm going to turn this off, turn it off again. If you're watching, the KII meter has 5 lights on it. Right now, if you're watching, it has 1 light on it. And the theory behind this is it's very, very sensitive to any energy in electronics. So if I turn this off, you'll see it come back on, and you'll see it flash all the way over to red, 5 or 6 lights. This one only has 5. Some of them have 6. And there's different varieties of these out there. You can get these at Walmart now for like $13-14. When I first bought them, they were 10. Then they skyrocketed because they became very popular. And essentially, they went to, I don't know, $80, $90, $100 a piece. And now they're back down to like $13-14, which is reasonable for a piece of gear. So like I said, you can use your phone your phone's an amazing piece of gear. I can't tell you how many times we've been out at a location and somebody's says, this place is haunted. And we're like, come in and look at each other. We're like, oh, okay, well, we have our gear with us. And so we grab our phones because it has, number one, it has a video camera, right? It has an audio recorder, so we can do that. And then we can use, we use other things to ask them to move things or tap on the wall or something like that. Knock twice to let us know that you're here, or don't do it. Don't do it. In the office here, we have paranormal activity, so sometimes the ghosts will interact with us as we're doing things. Yeah, we have DVR system, which is just basically now it's motion sensor cameras that hook to electronic devices like our phones or our tablet or our computer. So we can set those out and set them to motion. And if we get any motion and there's nobody in the room or something moves, then it hopefully will capture that. That's a good setup if you can get some cameras like that. The K2 is a good one. The phone, again, for audio recording or video recording is great. Unfortunately, you won't be able to do it at night unless you have the light on. I know a lot of ghost hunters like to investigate in the dark. We do day and nighttime investigations. So, if you're doing an investigation during the day, it's less creepy, especially if you're starting out. Number 2, you don't have to have any kind of special camera gear. You can just use your phone. So we do use thermal imagers. Those are more expensive. Those are not beginning paranormal gear I would recommend. We do have drones. We have a couple different drones, mainly for Bigfooting. We don't really use those in ghost hunting. And then, of course, we have all the stuff for Bigfooting, too. But we have lots of different electronic devices and things that we use. Another device that we use, we don't really do EVP sessions anymore. I know you guys have probably seen this a few times if you watch any of our investigations. This is a ghost box. We do have a spirit box too. I don't like the spirit box nearly as much. I like the ghost box for investigations because we get much better, clearer evidence out of this. I'm not going to go into this whole thing tonight, but if you can afford a ghost box, not a spirit box, but a ghost box, they're worth it. Hey, come on, guys. Sorry, the dogs are barking at people outside. So if you're hearing that, I'll try and edit that out. Okay, so that's the gear. So safety and mindset. When you go into a location, you got to be so careful. Not only can, negative entities, I'm not going to give them credit for what they are, negative entities mess with you, but also you have, ghosts. And again, remember how I called them just energy, okay? So if you have an energy source and it's not renewable, they have to find some way to draw energy from things to manifest, right? And by manifest, that could be anything. That could mean you see a shadow go across the wall. That could mean something moves. That means you could see like an apparition. That means you could hear a voice. That means you could catch a voice on an audio recorder or video recorder. You might catch a video of something, right? An apparition or something. Or they can manipulate like the ghost box, to create a voice on here. They have to manipulate this thing. So they can also, I believe, manipulate us, which is a little scary. And again, this goes into safety. Our bodies are like a machine, right? So we consume food to create energy for our bodies to move around and talk and whatever else. And then our brains are like a computer, right? We have currents that run through our brains that go through our bodies that make us move and talk, and it basically moves the machine around. So when you lose that energy, and these are just theories, where does that energy go? Does it stay around? Does it dissipate? Does it turn into something else? There's a lot of theories out there. But some spirits, or human spirits, like to manipulate people. They like to draw energy from them and essentially make them feel sick. When they draw the energy away from you, and I've seen it happen, I've seen people just collapse. It's just because you have not told the entities, listen. And there's several ways to protect yourself, but I'm going to talk about physical first. Basically just creating a mental barrier between you and them. So one of the ways you can do that is to basically just mentally think, okay, nothing can mess with me. And you can state it out loud. I don't mind if you communicate with me or interact with me, but you're not allowed to harm me in any way or to manipulate me in any way or drain my energy. You can be, if I go into a room, that's sometimes what I say. You can use prayers. You can do different protections where people sometimes sage themselves. Sometimes they carry crystals around. I definitely carry crystals. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get some of my crystals out of my pocket. If that'll move. Okay, no, of course, all the time. All right. So I carry a black onyx stone with me. I carry a rosemary quartz with me, and that's more for my guardian entity that I keep. Trying to think. This one's tiger's eye, and I can't remember what this is. If you know what this is, you're probably looking at this going, yep, that's that. Okay. Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know. Ooh, somebody's behind me. Let me know what you think it is. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's like a greenish stone, and it's got little, lines through it. But it's just a protective stone. Somebody gave it to me and told me to carry it. So, but that's part of the way I keep myself safe. I keep myself safe by basically, sometimes I'll say a prayer. But most of the time it's just a mental thing. I create a mental boundary between me and them. To go along with that, some people like to create a mental bubble around themselves. Essentially, make sure that they basically will bless themselves, or if you're a skeptic, just keep that strong mental "I don't believe," or "You're not allowed to hurt me," or anything you want. And then, of course, never going alone to a location, especially if you've never been there. And this is me, somebody talking that goes into places by themselves all the time alone. But most of the time, if I'm going into a location, I have been there before. I know the location. I'm prepared. I have things with me in case something happens. I fall. Carry a first aid kit with you. Carry holy water or whatever you use for protection with you. Carry sage if that's what you use. Carry stones. Carry whatever makes you feel comfortable. And then just make sure you're watching each other. If somebody starts to look lethargic, or they're looking like they're not themselves, or their face goes black, and you're looking at them and you're like, what's wrong with that person? Or they just are acting strange, then it's probably time to take them out of that location, and vice versa. If it's you and you feel like that, you need to get out of that location. One thing too, when you're exploring locations, is just be careful of the surroundings around you. I don't know how many times I've walked into things, or kicked something, or almost tripped over something, or tripped over and fallen. It hurts when you fall. So just be careful. Be aware of your surroundings. Most of the time, we're not in complete blackness unless we're out in the forest, aka when I first rolled my ankle at Joe's stepping in that hole. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. I should have been more careful. I should have had someone with me, number one. Number two, I should have basically listened to Joe and just basically set up in one spot and maybe grabbed a chair and sat out there and just watched and listened. And then also, if you're part of a team, or if you're building a team, you want to build like a structure of who's who. Okay. I've done this for years. I've had multiple paranormal teams. I've led the California Ghost Hunters. I've been part of, ghost tours. I've been I've done the Deep Woods Paranormal now for another 15 years, which basically has mainly consisted of Amanda and I, but we've had other paranormal team members too. So, on those teams I had somebody that was techie on the team, somebody that knew about the gear, who could explain it to everybody else, essentially what it was, what the gear was, how it worked, what to do, what not to do. Like, for example, if I'm a tech manager and I'm explaining how K2 works, I explained it to you earlier, but I'll tell them, hey, we're going to do an EMF sweep, which means that we go through a building or a location, a house, whatever it is, structure, and we're going to look for any anomalies. We're going to go through, and if this thing lights up and stays lit up in an area, number one, we want to record it on video, just because if we go back into that area and that doesn't happen again, we'll be like, okay. Also, with the K2, I always say make the sign of the cross, go down, go up, go left, go right. And if you still don't, if you come back into the, you go up and there's no, you get a blip. If there's no lighting up when you go up and you go down, there's no lighting up when you go down, you go to the right, there's no lighting up when you go to the right, and you go to the left, and there's no lighting up when you go to the left. But you have this middle area where your K2 is just lighting up, and there's this energy in the middle of this area. You might have something. There might be somebody there. There might be an entity there, or there might just be some kind of energy there that is trying to manifest in some way. And it seems to be interested in whatever you're doing, so it's lighting up the K2, right? So basically, you want to make sure that people know how to use the gear, especially cameras. Cameras are a pain in the yin-yang, and audio recorders too. They have certain settings for different times a night. If it's pitch black out, you're going to set the settings differently. If it's daytime, you don't want those nighttime settings on, because it's going to basically expose your camera, and it's just going to be blinding. You're going to blind the hell out of the camera, depending on how advanced your camera is. And then basically, if you can, You want to have somebody in tech, like I just talked about. You want to have a researcher, somebody hopefully that maybe is either a historian for your area, or somebody that is in touch with multiple historians, or that know people that know people that know about the history of locations. That's extremely helpful. Not only can they bring you in cases, number two, they can give you a bunch of information, and then you can kind of start to sort through that information and see what's really the information you need and what you don't need. So that's very important. And then you just need people that can go out with you from time to time and go do the research. And that you just need to find people that really enjoy what they do. And then you also have to find people that will work with you. A lot of the times on teams, we've had multiple times where we just butt heads. No, we're not doing it this way. I don't want to do it that way. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in this. Okay, well, I don't like this. I don't like the way you're doing that. And it just turns into a big argument, and then everybody's upset, and then basically you're just butting heads all night long. You really have to find people that are more in tune with what you're looking to do. If your team is going to be a psychic team, then you need to find people that are more psychically in tuned, or mentally in tuned, or more believing in that kind of thing. If you're a scientific team, you got to find people that are more scientifically based. They're a little more skeptical. They don't believe everything's a ghost or a Bigfoot or whatever. And I always tell people that you have to have that mindset anyways. It doesn't matter what kind of team you have. And then you have the debunking teams that just go out, and all they want to do, and this is for my skeptics, they want to go out and they want to debunk whatever it is that's paranormal that people are claiming is there, which is great too. Honestly, you have to have kind of all three. You have to have believers, you have to have skeptics, and you have to have people on the fence, because if you go one way extreme or the other extreme, you either have a team that's all believers and everything's a ghost, or you have everybody who's basically on the other side, they don't believe anything's a ghost. So you really have to kind of, even if I don't care if you're a believer or a skeptic, you have to kind of be on the fence at every location you go to, and you really have to work with both sets of people. You really have to listen to each other and really take what the other person is saying seriously, because if let's say you get a good piece of evidence, you got this really awesome audio clip, and the other person in the group who's more skeptical is looking at it and going, no, that's this, then you really have to go back and look and make sure it's not that, right? They'll keep you honest, which is great. I love skeptics. Because number one, it makes your evidence better. Because if they can debunk anything that you basically put out, then you don't have anything. But if they can't debunk what that possibly could be, and they're like dumbfounded, then you've got something, okay? So anyways, I don't want to keep going on that. I could talk about that all night. But anyways, so just the mindset is to be, just to be calm, respectful, open-minded, and still stay skeptical. Because if you don't, like I said, you're going to present evidence, and people are going to go, they're going to laugh at you. They're going to go, oh, no, I don't think so, bud. So anyways, okay, so let's talk about common myth versus reality, okay? There's a myth out there that ghosts only come out at 3 a.m., and I understand people have that theory. And there's more to this than just ghosts come out at 3 a.m., okay? So they say that ghosts are more active at 3 a.m., and that could be possible. I mean, every location, every investigation is different. Okay, let's just take this house for basically for an example. This house activity is sporadic. It doesn't just happen at one time during the day or the night, or all through the night or all through the day. Things happen from time to time. And this house is not haunted by any means. Okay, you can see the dolls behind me. The items on the haunted shelf. There's a lot of things that have attachments in here. There's something standing right to my right between me and the tank right now. Probably one of the little kids. So, anyways, you really have to, again, this goes back into research. If you're helping a family, if you're going into a business, if you're going into a location where it's been investigated before, look and see when people are having the most activity. It can happen at any time. Just because somebody was murdered at a certain time in the night, or something happened to somebody in the middle of the night, or whatever, somebody passed away during the day, doesn't mean they're only going to be active during the day. They can happen at any time. Some people say the peak energy at 3 a.m. Well, that could be true at some locations, but not all of them. I've been in locations during the day where it's way more active during the day than it is at night. Things are moving around, we're hearing noises. You get to nighttime and there's absolutely no activity. And, we sit there from midnight to 6 a.m. till the sun comes up and nothing else happens. And then as soon as the sun starts coming up, it starts getting active. Okay. So there's another thing out there, and I'm not going to get too much into this. Let's talk about orbs. When I first started, orbs were just considered dust, bugs, lens flare, water vapor, and other stuff. And I see a lot of people now, this is, again, going back to the early 90s, mid-90s, I see a lot of people now claiming these things to be ghosts. And in some cases it does. And also, orbs are also caught or seen, physically seen with people's eyes during Bigfoot investigations too. I'm not going to say that orbs are not something, because I do believe that they could be something. I think that it's just energy. And again, ghosts I believe are just energy, right? So who's to say a ghost can't appear as an orb? Now, unfortunately, people get pictures of dust and lens flare and water vapor and all this stuff, and they think that, it's a ghost. And a lot of time, unfortunately, it's not. About 90% of the time it's not. But every once in a while, you'll catch this orb on video and it'll be floating around, giving off its own light and stuff like that. That could be real. So, again, I don't want to get too much into orbs, but be careful with orbs. Just be really careful. Do your due diligence and really make sure that that's a solid piece of evidence, especially if it's going to be your main piece of evidence, if you're going to provide it as hey, there's a ghost here, okay? There's a myth out there that you need expensive gear to be ghost hunting. We kind of talked about this earlier. I can take a cell phone into a location and investigate a location. I'm not just using the cell phone. I'm using my own senses too. I'm listening for things. I am smelling for things. I'm looking for weird smells that maybe associate with a ghost. Maybe this person really loved to cook, and you go into this place and there's nothing cooking, but you're smelling something, and that's happened to us multiple times. We've been in a location and it just smells so good. I woke up one night to the smell of sugar cookies, and I was like, oh man, that smells good. Went down to the kitchen, smell dissipates. I go back up in my room, and we were at a hotel at that time. And I'm like, oh man, it's in this room. Something smells like sugar cookies, and I was loving it. But that went on for about half an hour before I fell back asleep. So yeah, you can get, like I said, the KII Meter. You can use the audio record. You can get cheap audio recorders. I would be careful about doing that. But there are audio recorders on Amazon, at Walmart and stuff like that you can get for a little less money. You don't have to go onto a ghost hunting site to find a piece of gear. You can get good gear for less. This thing was not cheap. This was a couple $100, so I would not recommend this to a starting ghost hunter, okay? But there's other gear. Video cameras. You can get video cameras for $50-$60 right now. You can get, they don't have to be night vision, but you won't be able to go out and shoot at night unless you have a really good spotlight. Let's see, what else are some of the things that basically, myths that people put out there versus reality. Ghost hunting is like TV shows. No. You have no idea. Thank God we can edit, because these shows would be boring as hell. I mean, you go to a location, and if you know, like the TV shows go for weeks. They go for a week at a time, usually 6, 7, 8 days, sometimes, minimum 3 to 5. And they investigate multiple times over multiple days, and they take all this stuff and they take, 100 hours worth of video, and they break it down into a 30-minute segment. I mean, we've been to locations where we've been there 3-4 days. We've had 70, 80 hours worth of video, several hours of DVR footage, audio recordings up the wazoo, because we left audio recorders running overnight to pick up any activity, and stuff like that, and other gear left out to see if we could document anything. And basically it's not what you think it is. It's a lot of sitting there talking to yourself and hoping that something's going to communicate back with ghost hunting. Bigfoot research too. I mean, or any of that research you do, you're going to be sitting there for hours and hours and hours and hours trying to document just to get that one moment, right? Well, the Bigfoot shows up on camera, or the ghost appears, the apparition appears in front of you, or something moves or whatever. But most of the time it's a whole lot of editing that's been done to reduce that down to 30-minute to 1 hour shows. So I would encourage beginners to try ghost hunting very safely, and just be responsible. Don't sneak into locations. Think before you go. Plan it out. Make sure that you have basically people that you trust with you, and that you're not going to have, if you fall and get hurt, somebody's going to be there to help you, or something else happens, you're going to have, you're going to be able to get out of that location and stuff like that. So anyways, yeah, I would be very careful about when you go out, and just be safe. Get permission to be there. Make sure that you're taking care of the client. If you're helping a client, don't just go there, investigate, and then never contact them back, which I hear a lot of the times happens. If you're a newer team, don't start with clients. Do not start with clients. Go out to locations. Get to know. You might be your best friend you're going out with. Get to know that person that's with you. And so yeah, just be careful when you go out. Make sure that you're not hurting the client more by not knowing what you're doing. Know the people that are with you. Learn the people that are with you. I mean, for one stretch, I had the same people with me for 8 to 10 years. We knew each other. We knew when we were in trouble. We knew if there was an issue. We made sure that we were checking on each other and stuff like that. So when you're doing an investigation, like I said, start with something simple. Take your friends and go out and have fun. Don't even take any gear. Go to a location that you think is haunted. See how they react. See how they act. Because you're going to be depending on these people when you go to a location, and if you're helping clients. You're going to expect them to be doing what you think they're supposed to be doing. You're going to expect them to help you set up gear and tear down gear and review audio and video and all this other stuff, to listen for possible evidence. You really want people that are going to be dependable. And if it's just you really want to learn how to do this. It's not hard to learn how to ghost hunting, but you really need to learn how to protect yourself and stuff like that. Because if you don't take care and you don't do this the right way, you can hurt somebody else, you can hurt yourself, you can get yourself into trouble, and you can do a whole lot of things that might be not beneficial to you. So like I said, when we first started, Amanda and I we didn't have any gear. We basically went to the Queen Mary, we went to the Whaley House, we went to the Hotel Del Coronado, we went up to Hollywood, and we met people. We started to essentially get people that were interested in the subject, and that's how we kind of built our team too. the more we did it, the more people were like, oh, well, yeah, I want to be part of your team. And then that show Ghost Hunters came out, and I've said this many times. People are like, that's what you do. You should go help people in their home. So, yeah, that's kind of how we got started. And we, little by little, over time, we found our core group. And we had like 40 people in our group. And every night, basically, we became more different people would go with us to different locations to investigate ghosts. And then they would help, we found who was actually responsible and really wanted to help break down evidence and stuff afterwards, or had the time. Some people just don't have time. I mean, guys, they have kids, they have families, they have jobs and stuff like that. And it just, they don't have the extra time to sit down and break down 30, 40 hours worth of audio and video to help you and stuff like that. So, I just, some of my favorite memories were from the Queen Mary. I mean, we had so many crazy things happen in there. I mean, I still remember room B340. We were in there, and we were in there for, almost 2 hours. And the room actually is 2 rooms. Room B340 on the Queen Mary is 2 rooms. If you're looking at it the right side, if you go in through the actual door, and then you go to the right side, that side is actually room B340. The other side of the room is not actually 340. It's a different room. And so Mary and I, she was a fellow investigator. She was part of our California Ghost Hunters teams. And we were on one side, and the other team was on the side, and there was probably about 10 people on the other side of the room. It was just her and I on one. And just nothing. It felt like nothing. Didn't feel like anything was there. Didn't feel like anybody was, with us. And then everybody's like, okay, well, we've been here for a long time. We were basically had the run of the ship that night. We got to go everywhere, which was really cool. We had a lot of cool experiences that night. But at this time, I mean, I just had a little click camera. I think it was the first digital camera I'd ever had. And, we didn't have audio recorders with us. We didn't have K2s. We just were basically experiencing things. So we walk out, and essentially we started up the B deck, and we got to about the middle of the B deck, and I just felt like I was being watched. And they report, shadows and apparitions up and down the B deck halls all the time. So I turned around, and I was told back then, if you have a picture camera, essentially you want a digital picture camera, you want to take multiple pictures, right? So I took 10 pictures, and essentially I put the camera away, didn't even think about it, forgot about it. Finally got to the point where I downloaded them into my computer, which I'd never done before, and I start looking through, and I'm like, holy crap, the 9th picture. I took 10 pictures in a row, real steady. There's an apparition standing in the hallway, right? 10th picture, nothing, and nobody had walked through that area. It was the very end of the hall. There was nobody down there. And I showed the group, and they were just like astonished. So, guys, anyways, if you guys like this episode, please like, subscribe, and share, and check out other paranormal investigations on our YouTube channel or on the audio podcast here. We have over 200 podcasts. We also have videos from ghost hunting, Bigfoot research, and other stuff. But check out the last podcast here. We did a Bigfoot podcast with a gentleman named Kev. Really enjoyed it. So if you haven't watched that episode, he specializes in Bigfooting with kids. Go back and check that out. He's an author, and he basically talks about kids and Bigfoot. And I appreciate you guys listening and watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
I can see